The shooters fired over 100 shots into Brazy's grandparents' home, set the house on fire, and left them to die. All this to get revenge for something Brazy did years earlier. In 2018, HoneyKomb Brazy made waves in the South when he dropped a 7-minute video on YouTube called Freestyle, racking up over 70 million views. That track alone immediately solidified Brazy as being up next. It took Brazy a long time to take rap serious, and even then, any momentum he picked up in his career was stalled by prison, violence, and tragedy. Brazy was so heavy in the streets that he ended up going to war with the Gulf Coast cartel and made it out to tell the story, but not at a light price. HoneyKomb Brazy's street ties date back to his parents. When he was growing up, his mom and his dad were both in and out of prison. He caught his first charge when he was just 10 years old for breaking and entering. When he was 13, he shot and paralyzed his cousin because of a money disagreement that he had with his father. Brazy was only out of juvie for a week when he got hit with an attempted murder charge after he shot a man in the leg and robbed him. Brazy did 4 years for that charge, and when he got out, he immediately caught a body. Ladarius Stank Moore was a childhood friend of Brazy's. When Stank showed up at the apartment that he lived at with his girlfriend, he was surprised to find Brazy there. The two started arguing, a fight broke out, and Brazy ended up shooting Stank. Brazy went on the run, but the cops eventually caught up to him. It took damn near a year in court, but Brazy ended up beating the murder case. Even though Brazy managed to walk on the murder charges, Stank's death forever changed the way he operated. Stank was well beloved and had a great reputation, which meant that Brazy made a lot of enemies in the aftermath of his murder. One of those enemies was Stank's uncle, the last person on earth you would want to fuck with. Stank was related to Darren Southall, a kingpin who moved drugs all over the South and was connected to Mexico's Gulf cartel. Southall did time on drug charges before, but since getting out of prison, he built a sophisticated network of street-level dealers and connects. His goal was to insulate himself legally as much as possible, so he set up his organization with a mafia-like hierarchy. Brazy was marked for death by the same friends he grew up with. He wasn't safe in his own town. After getting out of prison, Brazy was shot at multiple times. After being shot in the head, he landed in a coma for a week. The doctor told Brazy he would probably never walk again, but he beat the odds and proved them wrong. It took him months to recover, but he did get back on his feet. Brazy still had a bounty on his head though. During an IG live stream, Brazy was posted up in his car when a BMW pulled off and let 100 shots off at him and his crew. Surveillance video captured Brazy's crew running through fire, but Brazy walked away, the shooting completely unharmed. In 2021, Brazy's opposition took the war to a new level. Shooters pulled up to Brazy's grandparents' home and opened fire. Neighbors claimed they heard over 100 shots let off. After shooting and killing Brazy's grandmother and grandfather, the shooters set the house on fire with the bodies still inside. It was so brazen and violent that it made national headlines. Brazy feared his opposition would take the beef with him to his family, and now his worst fears have come true. On an IG story post that Brazy made after his grandparents' murder, he admitted that they had been dragged into something that did not involve them at all. Brazy wanted to get revenge on his family's behalf, but he was sent back to prison over another parole violation. A year later, Darren Southall was arrested and charged of being directly involved with the murder of Brazy's grandparents. People believe that Southall went after Brazy's grandparents in retaliation for Brazy shooting his nephew years earlier. Brazy may have been able to shake off and survive Southall's shooters for years, but this likely pushed Southall to hurt Brazy by any means necessary, and in a way that's as personal as it can get. With Brazy locked up and Southall facing murder charges, the years-long beef between them has been on pause for the last couple months. Brazy went to war with one of the most well-connected cartels in the South and made it out alive, but it cost him two people he loved the most in the world. Even though Brazy and Southall are still in the system, there's no way that the beef is over, especially because it remains to be seen if the two of them got locked up in the same institution. And if that happens, knowing the years of bad blood between them, all bets are off.